Welcome back to Okayama. Apologies for a brief interruption. We'll get back to the racing right now as the green flag is out and Gaspers is on the pole. Antonio Reese is in a hot fight right behind him as look at them crowd down towards turn one. That's Meyer to the inside as Horvath also in a little bit of a battle with Murakami coming into the first corner. And around the outside, Reese is going to get the inside into Williams.
Yeah, Antonio Reese, making no bones about it. He's just absolutely gunning it straight from the start. I mean, he's definitely got his practice in today, being led by Florence Arabian and David Gaspers. Them two have already rocketed it away. A second gap has opened up between the lead two cars and Antonio Reese. Ooh, Antonio Reese going wide, coming through turn four, going side by side once again with Simon Mayer.
That was Bately, and I'm not sure who else. Looks like Gibson, unfortunately, off to the side. So that up at the front, it is still a hotly contested battle between third and fourth. That's Meyer to the outside, Murakami to the inside, 2x2, as well as they've got Horvath in there. And it looks like Meyer can't quite hang as they swing down into Revolver. Murakami, though, the hard way around as he gets himself into fourth.
Murakami sliding all the way through into third. Very well done for himself, catching Simon Mayer and Antonio Reese off guard with how well he executed that move. But that train is it's a very big train coming around Okayama, especially through the intricate last sections. We're on turn 9 now into 10. Does anybody get a slowdown? This can catch people out if you cut too much of the inside. I don't think so. Very nice and neat through onto 11. And that Meyer, you see Meyer there, he's actually threatening just a little bit of Chris Murakami. And Murakami would like to keep as many positions as he can above Antonio Reese, who's now back in 6th position as they come into turn 1.
Yeah, and we had a few more spins in the back coming through Redmond and Hobbs. Unfortunately, we'll try and get to that a little bit later. Right now, it's a 2-car breakaway, as you can see on your screen. Gaspers and Arabian up at the front as Murakami has already lost about 2.2 seconds. But Meyer, Horvath, Reese all with him. Reese is going to take a deep dive into Atwood as the car slides into the corner. Can he keep the momentum up the hill?
Oh, just an extra little slide coming in. He tried tucking it into the sweeping right-hander and going up to the hill, and just Rocco Horvath really taking advantage. And up ahead, sorry, in pole position, there is an absolute torment of a battle going between the two leaders of the race. That is Florence Arabian and David Gaspers going side-by-side battle, and Florence Arabian taking the lead.
So he's got it, but can he hold on to it is the question. And how powerful is the draft going to be here today? Is it enough on these straightaways to make an easy pass, or are they going to have to work hard at it?
It's unfortunate with the sweeping right-handers and the 180s. Remember, we had this Tsukuba 2000 back a week ago at this stage, but you know, it's a feature here in the last kind of 2 of the last 4 corners of Okayama. It is tuck in, get the best run out you can, and you just see that David Gaspers going on the outside, and he's going to get this if he keeps it nice and tight on turn 1. It's a bit deceiving if you've definitely not practiced around here. That sweeping right-hander opens out into a more gradual turn, especially given the fact, you know, we see the MX-5s going around here. They definitely get caught out every now and again. But Gaspers doing a very good, good job for himself, taking back the lead, but under threat already.
Yeah, that seems to answer our question a little bit on whether or not the draft means anything out here as we jump back once again to the battle for third, being led by Murakami. That is Horvath back there. Rocco in the 14, the blue and whites, as we hop on board with Antonio Reese in the 5th position. Another swap around in front of them as we almost go 3 wide back here. Gaspers and Arabian side by side, 3 wide for third place. Hard to tell where to look And it looks like it's going to be Reese who manages to sneak up the inside. Gasper still side by side with Arabian in front of them. And Gasper is going to be able to pull ahead of the 6.
And we just see Antonio Reese doing very well for himself, being able to, you know, essentially getting to taking back his 3rd position, as he would say. That's rightfully mine. I'll have a bank while you guys are fighting with each other. It's going to be four position because Chris Murakami is in the same class as Antonio Reese's, and you know, with Antonio, he definitely has a good performance potential in him. So let's see what he can do, fighting for the lead of the Masters.
Indeed, and also for our followers of the AM category, Simon Meyer leads that with Butanga behind him in the 664 along with Render. So they're still all in the hunt and still holding on to this front group that we've been following around turn 1 on this very gloomy day here in Japan. And 4 cars lying astern with 35 minutes left on the clock. Still plenty of racing left to go. But let's not forget about those pit stops eventually, which will come into play.
Pit stops, especially here, you know, it's going to be very difficult to judge it right, especially given the fact that around Okayama, there's the potential for that over undercut potential, especially given the fact there's a lot of space in the track, and if they can get it just right, they can just get into the gap where they can, you know, make maximum effort. So I'm looking to the likes of Antonio Reese. Is he going side by side once again? He gives up the position to Chris Murakami, who just had that inside line coming into turn 5. Can he slot back in? He does. Slot back in. You see, for Antonio Reese, in this case, perfect example. He's battling with Chris Murakami. He does not need this. He needs to just put in laps, boom after boom after boom, good laps. And if he does need those good laps, so you know, in that case, he definitely does need a undercut or an overcut. He just needs to play with Murakami's mind and just force him into making a mistake, maybe in the pits.
Reese trying it once again, but Murakami denies him. Also, Arabian got ahead of Gaspers in the hairpin that time through, so they keep switching back and forth. But in spite of that, they pulled about 4.5 seconds ahead of this pack. The back 2 that we were talking about just starting to fall off, and then you have to go back to P9 before you get another little grouping. That's Rasky ahead of Sanchinelli and Taylor.
You can just see, if you just take a look at it, it's all the way down the field. There's gaps, but they're gaps of groups of cars. There's not just one car sat by itself. You know, we have this group from 3rd to almost 8th having battles going in between each other and having to work together on the track. And then we have Miro Haraski in the car number 64 leading the group right from 9th down to 11th. Theo Taylor needs to start getting the movements up because he has 2 other Section 2 racers with him of Johan and Thomas respectively in 7th and 8th. He would like to be up there.
Ooh, and this battle just will not subside as Murakami gets overtaken by Antonio this time. And he's got Horvath right up his tailpipe. They come down through Piper and towards Redmond as we hop on board with Rocco. He's close, but just don't get enough speed up coming into here. Takes a different line, though. Look at him try to cut underneath.
It's so close here. It's so close, just trying to keep it together. Antonio Reese doing his absolute best because he saw what Chris would do. And Antonio Reese he's pitting. 30 minutes to go on the clock. So he's absolutely going to take the pit stop. I think he's going to do a massive undercut if this is an actual pit stop.
Yeah, this is, well, he's putting himself at severe risk because we still have about 29 cars running right now, 28 it appears. So he could easily get caught up with slower cars. If this does not work out, he could lose a lot of positions as he kind of coasts into his stop. Now, I'm not sure what that was about, unless he maybe forgot to put his race fuel in and wound up running out of fuel there at the end. That was interesting.
And we just have David Gaspers and Florence Arabian back at it again with the battles. Florence Arabian wanting to take back first position from Gaspers. Gaspers defending, going side by side into turn 6, I think that is. Down the sweeping straight on the back end, coming over the crest of the hill. Is Florence Arabian on the right hand side. That is David Gaspers on the left as they dive in. A little bit of sway from Florence Arabian, a little bit of sway from Gaspers, trying to keep it side by side, but he can't. He can't. It's just a 180. There's no way that you can take it around side by side with these kinds of cars. You just slide around. But David Gaspers does have a good run out, but he can't maximize it. There's another 180 there to stop him and essentially police him and say, nope, not this time. You're going to have to wait for 3 more corners.
The battle in Japan continues on. Remember, this is round 2 because we had these two fighting all race long over in Tsukuba. Now, that time, it was Arabian who came out ahead of the pair. Can Gaspers get his revenge as Murakami and I think another driver coming in for pit stop looks like Butanga.
Yeah, so they probably have heard or seen that Antonio Reis has himself taken to the pit stop. He was in there for about 9 seconds. We just switch over to P8, as you can see. Johan and Chris coming into the pits and just have a shuffling of the field because they were part of that big group from what is now 3rd to 5th, and now it's all changed up again because they're getting into gaps now and they're going to be racing at full speed.
Yeah, that was Rasky that we just saw manage to get by Sancinelli with Taylor and Coppage just behind them. Looks like Sancinelli's going to try and come back at him, but the long way around through Atwood, and unfortunately doesn't seem to be enough grip on that long route to help him out, so Taylor's going to take advantage.
Yeah, he sees the chance that he can make coming up onto the field, but that is a grouping where anybody can play the game of let's go side by side, and almost going 3 wide going into turn 6. Oh, crikey, a little bit of contact there going on the inside, and that is going to be Theo Taylor spinning out.
And it was ghost contact for him. He was nowhere near those cars, unfortunately. So he's going to have to wait patiently, finally able to get going. Racing in Australia, I suspect he might have been a little bit away in terms of ping from those he was battling with. As we jump up to 7th place, Coppage now gaining a spot because of that spin. Rasky just in front of him, Sancinelli behind.
You know, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out because the group is now separated. We do see another pit stop coming from Myro Haraski. And now he is going to be taken to the pits. I think Antonio Reis has started a little domino effect of who's coming into the pits first, you know? As we just see, does Edgar make the move on the inside? He does, but is he side by side? He can just tuck it in side by side between Leroy Coppage and Edgar Sancinelli. Oh, no. Breaking it back out.
Yep, just didn't quite have enough. By the way, Antonio Reis did come out first of those who have pitted and is still working his way through traffic. We'll try and keep updates on him as we once again look at the top 2, Arabian and Gaspers side by side. Gaspers slots back in for a little bit of the slipstream, now comes back out to the outside. There's a lot of banking in this hairpin here, Rob. Sometimes it can give it the inside a revolver.
Oh, a little bit tight. Oh, it's very difficult around the 180s, especially here, because they're actually quite a bit bigger than the 180s we saw at Tsukuba. You just see how close they're having to race between each other. No inch spared in terms of getting that P1.
And what amazes me is they're still gapping those behind them. So despite as hard as they've been fighting, they're not losing ground. So they're free to fight if they want to, though. The more they race this close and this hard, the more they risk touching each other and losing a lot more time.
They were very close to actually you know, coming into contact with each other, and we've seen even a little bit of contact is fatal for these kinds of cars because wheels can pop off, the suspension can break, and it. Oh, as we saw, that's Gaskins again, or correction, Gaspers coming on the inside. He makes a move very, very nicely. Perfection at its best, and that was a great move by him coming into turn one. But again, Arabian's just always there. He's always sort of the one thing that you just can't get rid of. It's like, oh, you think you can get P1? I'm here to stop that.
Well, I'm glad that they're at least enjoying themselves up there, because it's better seeing this than having them just ride line astern for the entirety of the race. A bit surprising, though. I would think there'd be a way to save a bit of fuel around this circuit, as Gaspers once again going to look are going to have to defend as we come back to Jaburek and Bately.
Yeah, it really is going to be helter-skelter through the entire field. It isn't just going to be a P1, P2 kind of thing. We see battles absolutely everywhere. Kenneth Batley on the outside there, or coming up to the inside of the turn. He's going to rejoin the racing line behind James Hodgson, and just having to keep in line up until the point where he can then make the move. Oh, very close between the two of them. It's not the kind of thing that you don't want to have these cars intertangled with each other, especially because the nose cone of the Formula V's, it can get into places where it really shouldn't be.
That's Glow in the pink and Batley in the yellow. What a climb it's been for him, up to 10th, considering he was spun on lap 1 and went to the very back. And we look a little bit behind them towards the battle between Gradwell and Stefani, along with Taylor being pulled along. I think Taylor was another one we saw have some issues at the very beginning. He's being caught by Antonio Reese, still our highest pitter of everyone in the pack, and well, looks like another one ducking off. That's Stefani.
Yeah, so it's not like at Tsukuba where there was a big group of them coming into the pits. I think everybody has now decided, I will stick to a strategy that I think fits me the best, and they've really sort of, you know, mixed up the field, really, because you have people like Antonio Reese taken to the pits. You have people like you know, the two Taylors out there. They're sort of trying to battle each other. You know, Theo Taylor in this case I think was the one that had the issues coming around turn 5. And you can just see between the two of these, that is Gaspers and Arabian again going at it. My suggestion then would be get into the pits, get your fuel, get into some clean air, because they're just slowing each other down. But the opposite is also true. What happens if the other person gets an idea? It's like, oh, let's take it to the pits, or let's go really, really fast for our in laps, and it's a dynamic. Do you take the call? Do you not take the call? Because they're just so interlocked in the battle. Let's see if they come in. Either of them come in.
No, not this time. And one driver I think that might be taking advantage of things. Let's not forget Horvath and Meyer were in that fight with Reese and Murakami, and they haven't had to pass anybody. In fact, they haven't even been battling each other. We see them on screen now. That's Horvath in the blue and white and Meyer in the yellow machine. So I wonder if they're running quicker laps than the 914, the 901.
I think they're running similar laps if I just do the calculations. The fastest lap so far coming from Gaspers himself. Did a 1:53.17 that last lap. It's actually faster than the rest of the field.
Checking in on Craig here in the 901. He's about 3.5 seconds back from Reese. So that didn't work out well for him in the pit stop, and it looks like he was about 2 seconds slower. So not only has he lost time on track, but he lost time in his pit stall as he overtakes Butanga and Renders. However, those three have all taken their stops, so this is 4 position.
And this is going to be, I think it's going to be, if the rest of the pit, it'll be for about 3rd or 4th. Antonio Reese leading the group as of right now. just having to deal with the situation. Oh, correction, sorry. It's going to be Murakami leading that group, but Antonio Reis did jump the gun on this group right here. And Murakami and Botenga not doing themselves any favors because they're fighting each other. They're going to be slowing each other down while Antonio Reis is going to laugh to the bank. He's going to be like, perfect, I've got nobody around me. I can put in fast laps.
Absolutely. And as we see them once again swapping around a little bit on the backstretch down into the hairpin, we have a very unusual situation in this series where we have just hit the halfway mark and the majority of drivers have actually finished their pit stop. Usually everybody tries to go long, but I guess in these overcast conditions, drivers not really worried about the over or undercut. It's just pit when you please. And still nothing doing down into the Redmond and Hobbs portion of the track. Looks like Benjamin Forster now pitting from 5th place. We've only got about 5 more that we need to come in.
They should be looking into the pits in about 2 or 3 laps time. For these guys in particular, for anybody who is sticking it out, again, we keep mentioning this, but these two have literally been inseparable, especially over the last 2 races, just been absolutely battling each other out. You think to yourself, especially as Gaspers goes on the inside, again, the hairpin really is the overtaking maneuver because you can't get side by side coming around the 180, and you can't keep it around side by side around the 180, and I think it's going to be, a flip-flop situation of, oh, I'm first now. No, I'm first. No, I'm first. Who is going to be first on that flip-flop when they both cross the line? That is the question.
I almost think we're going to have to get Dougie some floodlights or fog lights here. And some of these longer shots, you can barely make out the cars down the backstretch by the time we turn the camera to them. And let's see, anybody going to try and come in this time by? They're still keeping it out. And no, it is Gaspers who is going to duck in. Behind them, looks like Horvath will stay out. And we got to wait a ways before we get to the next car. So one of the two has elected to pit, but interesting that Arabian decided not to follow him in. So maybe he believes he is quicker.
It comes back to what I said before, we can just see with Antonio Reis just there. It depends. Can you make it work out on the track when somebody else pits, negating the over/undercut mechanic? I mean, it does work, but it only works if the guy you're fighting can't maximize and you take it to the pits. He comes out, did 10 seconds in the pits, just 8/10 of a difference between Antonio Reis and Gaspers. Gaspers definitely got a comfortable gap behind him.
Sad news for fans of Meyer. He lost his internet connection, so no podium for him today. We'll see if he is able to return to try put a few laps in or if he is done. So Arabian continues on. Horvath still needs his stop. So does Taylor, Theo Taylor, and Mike Taylor. Gaspers returns in 3rd. Now remember, he was about 5 seconds ahead of Gaspers when ahead of Reis when Reis stopped. Gaspers now about 11 seconds ahead of Reis.
Ooh, just looking at the group of Stefani, Paolo, Batley, and Gradwell, the 4 of them have now sort of clumbered together and are now in some serious competition between the 4 of them. It is going to be, as I said, helter-skelter down the grid, and it hasn't stopped since the start of this race, really. It's been, it's been interesting because, we're used to seeing it splintering out into 1s and 2s, but in this race, it's been 4, 5, 6 cars battling each other. You've just seen the mist. As they come through the mist, it's almost 3 wide going into the hairpin at 5.
And a little wide out of there for Stefani, but he manages to hold it. Behind him, almost contact between Colo and Batley. Down into Piper. And he looks for the run, but cannot get the momentum up. Someone in the background there just swinging a little bit too far wide on the left-hander. Now into Redmond. Yeah, one thing I love about these lower level cars, yes, they're not as fast, but one thing they do provide is some incredible close racing.
For sure, we're on board now. But I think that is going to be in the middle of the group of Kenneth Batley on board. It is indeed. Got that one. And we just see how close he has to sit behind the likes of Kirk Broadhurst as he goes side by side to try and make the move. It's not the slipstream battles that you're used to seeing in like your GT classes or anything like that. It is really, you have to sit very close to the guys that you're battling around while also giving the space. It provides some excellent racing. And Batley himself will be very happy with that move because he secured it very cleanly, I would have thought. And yeah,
he certainly did. And I'm watching Arabian. We're starting to get towards the end of that pit window, and he's still staying out, so he continues on. Now, we've got a few laps in now since Gaspers has his pit stop, so I wonder if we should look at the lap comparison between the 6 and the 21 to see if one is pulling a ruse over the other here.
So I think from looking at it, the lap comparisons would be in Gasper's favor if he can put in a fast lap for this one round. For the pit stops, I think it would have been a little bit offset by Gasper's coming into the pits, coming out, but they were even Stevens on lap 10 and 11, as you can see on your screens, but
Gasper's was
speed up.
Half a second faster that time by than Arabian. So interesting stuff, and that could make the difference. I wonder if he could break the slipstream if he keeps that up.
It could be that all Forens is missing is that mark and that little push. I think just trying to keep it all together, and I think we are back with Murakami and Johan Betenga. The three of them, and Renders, by the way, the three of them are now going at it for a tentative 5th position, given Theo Taylor and Mike Taylor have both yet to pit, and side-by-side action again. Continuous battles all the way down through the field. I say these guys are loving it in the cockpits. You can't see their faces, but I guarantee you it's going to be big smiles all around. Coming out of the fog, though, that is going to be Murakami on the inside.
He's got the inside coming into the hairpin, but he's got to complete the pass here as it looks like Johans drops back. So job done. He can't fight back into Revolver, and Renders not able to get around the outside of that one as he's denied. And it looks like Arabian is in.
Arabian is coming in. Horvath is still yet to pit, so he'll be... he's missed his pit box! He missed the pit box! He had to reverse! He's lost time in the pits as well! Oh no, it's going to be all Saturday blues, and there goes Gaspers. Clean Irene, just going sayonara. Bye-bye, I have P1. Oh, Arabian, I feel so sorry for you. Oh no, it's such a shame.
Though? He must have had a penalty of some sort.
I don't know if he went off the track though, because like he was very, very clean throughout this entire race. Neither of them hit each other. Wow.
Did he speed on coming into the pit lane though? Let me check here.
That could be.
I'm checking to see where the cones are.
He's still in the box.
Yeah, he was speeding. And it's about a 50-second stop total. So that confirms it. He's back in 13th. Arabian, unfortunately, finds himself with definitely not a podium and potentially not even a top 10 because he's only got 10 minutes left to try and make up quite a few spots.
Yeah, my heart goes out for him because it was trying so hard to make up the time as best he could, you know, with the problems that he was having to, you know, losing time to Gaspers in particular. And I don't know, what can you do in that situation apart from just try your best?
The hill, he doesn't have as good a speed as Stefani does, who's now battling with him, with Batley there behind as well, coming up into the hairpin around the outside and absolutely chucking it in. Stefani a little too hot, starts to fall back. It continues down into Revolver. He gets the inside and into Piper, another left-hander, 3 of them in a row. So it looks like Greg should be able to pull this one off, but he doesn't yet.
And you can just see how, you know, he's doing his best to really just try and defend himself, but he's got 3 drivers, or 2 other drivers, and a 3rd one in the bank, really ready to sort of upset his day even further. That is going to be Stefani trying to battle side by side. We're on board with Kenneth Batley now as he sees the 2 of them doing battle between the 2 of them. Arabian very skillfully, I can safely say he's doing his best to try and hold on to the position, but I think he's just going to have such a sad heart when he knows he just pipped the speed limit a bit too much. And here he is. Oh, keeps it on the inside. I think Stefani is trying to do an over-under using the sweeping right-hander on the exit, and I don't think he has the legs for it just yet. But if he just executed perfectly, he does have a run coming up into 4.
Well, now it looks like this might be a complication for Stefani, because Batley trying to come around the outside, who unfortunately falls back under braking into Atwood. Now gives Stefani another chance at trying to pull the slipstream on Arabian. Ferenc just can't get away from this. Our leader is still Horvath, who has yet to pit, and Taylor is the only other one in the field who still needs to take fuel. Gasper should easily retake the lead once they are done. Not enough of a draft for Stefani, so will this finally allow Arabian to try and get out of the grasp of that 75 car?
And I think Gasper's will be, you know, it's unfortunate what happened to Forens, but Gasper will definitely be having a good time. And you can just see there, still Forens is still trying to stay away the likes of Stefani and Batley behind him, but they're definitely not going to give him an easy time, as we just see Theo Taylor's coming into the pit, so he'll be rejoining, I think, in this group actually. So it's going to get even more difficult for Forens Arabian, and you know, it's going to add another complexion for that battle for 12th position currently.
Looks like Taylor comes out in 11th, so he's actually a bit ahead. If Arabian can actually focus forward and get some pace down, he could run down Taylor and see if he can get ever closer to that top 10 finish at least. Looking down in 5th place, Murakami is ahead of Butanga with Renders just behind. It's been this way for quite some time. They're a full 5 seconds back from Reese, who's basically scampered away with what will be 2nd place. This is for the last step on the podium as Murakami sends it in deep to keep Butanga behind, and it's successful.
Yeah, Butanga is really trying to, you know, it's I would think of it as like it's a little, you know, leapfrogging moments between the 2 of them, especially given the fact that, you know, there's these 180 turns, and as well as which, when we have this kind of traffic, we just see Rocco is in the pit, so with his pit stop, he'll come out, I think, behind, and no, he'll come out in front of Antonio Reese. Yeah, miles ahead. Correct me there, and it's because my math is very wrong today, but it's but you know, it's very interesting to see how we've seen this now over Okayama and Tsukuba. The leapfrogging is intense, or especially around here, it's intense. They leapfrog each other, and then they leapfrog each other again and again and again. I feel like as you can see on your screens, that is going to be a 4-way battle, and that is going to be Gihan losing a position. I think he was trying to keep away Sancinelli for the battle for 8th, and he just is getting shuffled out. It's going to be like this, I think, until the end of the race. Just set yourselves up for when the white flag lap is on, and you should have the better position too. So be in a position to attack and not to defend on that last lap.
Coppage behind him, who tried to attack through Williams but couldn't quite pull it off. And there's Theo Taylor after his pit stop, who has got a few positions in front if he wants them, but Coppage wants it more. He's going to give another go, coming down into the hairpin, looking for the braking marker through the mist and the fog. And Gehan, the long way around, tries to turn in, almost runs into the back of Coppage. They managed to get away with it, but Coppage looks a little slow off the turn, and he doesn't have the spot.
Yeah, Coppage, unfortunately, when he was trying to come around that first 180, he didn't get the legs and the get up and go to really take it to Gehan. And Gehan was able to capitalize, come on the outside, going into the inside for 6. And as you can see, oh, that's the car going wide. I think that is going to be Gehan. A little bit too much of throttle, and now under threat from Coppage himself. Coppage coming back after Gehan just lets the focus slip a little bit too much.
Nice long straightaway here coming on the front stretch out of the final corner, but he falls back a little bit. Leroy's going to have to hustle this car if he wants this spot. You can see him starting to reel it back in. I think he's going to run out of time as they finally come up to the first corner. Yes, indeed, he decides to sit patiently, but he can't be patient for too much longer. Only 3 minutes left to go.
Yeah, so they're gonna, as I said, they're gonna have to set themselves up to, you know, get yourselves set up for that white flag lap. It really is going to be leapfrogging each other, going one after another, I think, and that is what Gehan's trying to prevent, but I don't think he really can, especially with this long straight coming up. Sweeping around here on turn 4. Unfortunately, they don't have DRS, so they can't use push to pass, and all they can really do is use the track as it's built. Use those 180s. There's 3 of them. Now turn 5 is going to be key. Side-by-side action between Coppage. He's got the inside. He's definitely got the line, but he also squeezes just a little bit of, he squeezes. Oh, no!
There goes Gehan around the 999. Just lost control on quarter entry. Takes him out of the equation, which means it should be between Coppage and Taylor from here. We're going to watch from on board. He had the outside. The Northwest driver just sent it in deep, and Gehan sent it in too deep. And the New Englander swaps ends.
Yeah, the car was looking like it wasn't very, very happy, and then when he applied the brakes and turned in, the car just said, nope, not liking this, and it just sent him around. It's one of the risks when you're running that outside line.
Over to Renders now. This is with Butanga for 5th position, and Murakami just ahead of him. Love these onboards. Oh, and he's way off into the kitty litter. Is he going to hit the wall? Hard to tell from that angle whether or not he avoided it.
I think he just avoided it, just about, though. Way too close for comfort. You could just see we're just going to get another shot of it. Coming around 2, you can just see Butanga sweeping out too much speed. Oh, very close. Slams under the brakes to try and get the car slowed down while he's on the tarmac. And, he's counting his lucky stones today because he was very close to that wall.
And poor Taylor also spun. The 793 falls to 12th. Arabian is now in the top 10, but Stefani's been stalking him, as that number 75 could maybe try and snatch it right back with a good slipstream if he's been waiting for the right moment. And I think we might be on the white flag. No, we're getting the white flag this time by, as Gaspers is coming up around the final corner. He's got a handy gap of about 6 seconds over Horvath. Credit to Rocco, who's been keeping Gaspers honest, but he hasn't had the pace to be right on his tail.
Yeah, Gaspers, he's just got to bring it home, really. Pick up rubber and bring it home, as I say in F1. But the battles behind them are still raging on, as we see with Chris Murakami and Thomas Renders, and we're on board with Thomas himself, looking at the car, just up ahead. It's going to be the battle for 5th position. So they're not going to be on the podium sense, but they're going to be as close as can be for the two of them. And it's going to be Murakami's race to lose if he doesn't keep it together. And we are looking at Miro Haraski and Johan Botenga, and that is going to be a battle for 6th, and they are going to be absolutely locking horns for this last lap, because there is literally no gap between either of them, and they definitely both want as much points as possible here today.
Thing on a recovery here, see what he can do with it as they come out of Atwood Curve. This has been the best spot for an overtake all race long, and he's got a good slipstream. Question is, can he get by? He's going to be forced the long way around, though, as they come up to the braking for the hairpin, heading down into one of the most active corners we've seen all day long, and it doesn't look like he's got enough as he falls back, which takes us to Gaspers, as the 21 is going to take his first win of the season, amazingly, and it doesn't happen until round 4, which I don't think anybody expected. But David Gaspers has had 2 second places, and now he tops it off with a win in Japan at Okayama.
And just down the road is going to be Rocco Horvath, who we should have probably given him more credit where it's due, because he had a very quiet but very good race out there. Antonio Rees, redemption for what happened at Tsukuba. He comes home in 3rd, the lead of the Masters, and I think he's going to be exceptionally happy with that. Chris Murakami, 2nd in the Masters, but a very, very hard-fought race. And unfortunately, we see the car of Florence Arabian coming around, and he is in the middle of 3. He has tried his very, very damnedest. He did get that top 10, but what could have been for him if he did not have that speeding penalty in the pits?
Exactly. And our highest of the AMs is Thomas Render. Talk about an overachiever. Got 23 drivers on the lead lap. No battles left. You can see them all kind of streaming across here one by one. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Okayama. If you can see through the fog, you could see the winner, David Gaspers, here today, who took a 7-second victory over Rocco Horvath, who basically strategized himself up to a podium from 6th on the grid. On the front row at the start, Antonio Rees definitely found himself in the midst of a fierce battle at the start and made the right call of pitting early, winding up with a third, getting away from everybody else who seemed a little bit too interested in having fun back there. But Murakami was 4th as Thomas Renders went from 10th to 5th. Hraski, a 6th place for him, a gain of 9 positions. Butanga was 7th, followed by Sanchinelli in P8, Coppage in 9th, and Arabian, unfortunately, a penalty in pit lane sent him down to 10th.
In 11th, we have Greg Stefani, who I would have thought that he'd be very happy with himself today, keeping it clean and keeping racing hard. And I'd like to see him a little bit further up the field in the next few races. I definitely think he can have it. 12th, Theo Taylor in 13th, Kenneth Batley. Kirk Broadhurst in 14th, Mike Taylor in 15th. Are they brothers? The Theo and Mike Taylor? I have to find them one out. But they finished 3 positions in difference. In 15th, Kyle Chinnick in 16th, James Hodgson in 17th, Davidson in 18th, and 19th was Josh Jabruck, and in 20th is Tom Gradwell.
Last 3 on the lead lap was Forster, Reck, and Gehan. They're down to 23rd. Then Colo, Kraus, and Merritt finished a lap down. Rogan Buck 2 laps down, and those behind were DNFs. As we talk to our winner here today, and David, compared to our experience with the SRF Weekend Warriors, we kind of figured we'd see you in the winner's circle a little bit sooner, but it looks like it's a pretty tough field here in the Formula Vs.
And the first race and last week I was a bit unlucky, I think, with how the draft played out. But today, yeah, was not that hard, to be honest, after Florence got that penalty.
Yeah, that kind of cleared the road for you. But you too, it seemed like neither was really interested in sitting back and saving some fuel back there. It was basically whoever wanted to be in front at the moment. Does that seem accurate? You didn't want to be sitting in second place at any point?
Yeah, fuel saving is just boring, so we were fighting a bit. At some point, we were going a bit too slow, so people behind us were catching us by more than a second, than half a second. So we just swapped positions, but no one was really sitting behind for anything.
Well, next race, we're going off to a very short version of Zandvoort, so not going to have very many long straights at all, even less reason to try and fuel save there. Have you run the club version of Zandvoort ever before?
No, but I mean, the main straight is still longer than any straight here, so in this car, everything is a draft track.
Well, congratulations on a win. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks for everyone that organizes the series and you for broadcasting it.
Not a problem. That was our winner, David Gaspers. Up next, 3rd place was Antonio Rees, who ducked out early, and Robert's going to talk to him about his strategy call.
Antonio, very well done, and a very good performance from you in 3rd place. A redemption arc from Tsukuba. Talk us through, why did you make that very, very early pit stop? And did it play out for you in the end? Well, we already know the second answer, but what did you think going into the pits?
I was a little, hello everybody, before everything. Thanks for having me. And yeah, well, I was a little bit worried about when you have many cars together, you know, fighting for position in very close to each other. Any mistake can be very bad. So I was pitting early to avoid all of that confusion that could be. I hope it didn't happen, but that was my main purpose, to stop earlier.
And with the track conditions as they were, did it make difficult driving out there? I know there was a lot of fog, but take us through what it felt like for you to drive in very foggy conditions out there.
No, it was not difficult, and most of the drivers was very close pace, so everybody was not very much separated by lap time. So it was just something you have to deal on the traffic and giving space, respecting others, and trying to be fast.
And to sort of delve into it, did the close racing really sort of going into this race? Did you really think it was going to be that close all the way through, or were you hoping it would fan out as the race went on?
Oh, I think it would be until the end. So yeah, I was thinking that kind of a tight driving together, close. I'm not very kind of a safe driver. I can do mistakes, and I don't want to ruin anyone.
I beg to differ. You've been a very clean driver out on track, and today was a very big testament. And do you have any shout-outs or anyone you'd like to thank?
Of course, for Steve Ray for setting up everything, and our sponsors also, and to the community. This is a great community, as Steve said. It's the best community. It's the community that makes this league to be like this. So that's my last thoughts.
Thank you very much, Antonio, and congratulations on the P3. You're very well deserved.
Then up next, we have 5th place finisher, but winner in the Spec 2 category, Thomas Renders. Thomas, bit of an overachiever today out there as you managed to finish with the big boys, but you were also in amongst that group that Reese was in, having a lot of fighting. What was your perspective on it? Did you kind of have similar thoughts? You want to get away from everybody tangling so much?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really have the pace to drive away or even match the pace of the guys I was of the group I was in. So I had a hard time struggling just to keep up with them, even in the draft. So when I saw Antonio and Chris pitting early, I just still tried to keep up with the 2 other cars in the group. But a minor mistake, and I lost the draft there. So I thought, just pit. Maybe I will be in the draft of Antonio or Chris again, just to try and pass, do an undercut at Simon. But I didn't see him anymore, so I don't know what happened to him. But we still had a pretty good fight with Johan for the lead. Yeah, it was good fun, but I didn't really have anything to counter Chris and try to overtake P4.
Well, this is a great counter in the points because you came in 7th place. So this victory should probably shoot you up a bit. What's your ultimate goal at the end of the season, championship-wise?
Well, obviously, I'm a Spec 2 contender, so I'd like to do well in that. But there are other drivers who are driving really fast too in Spec 2. So I just try to do my best and keep the car on track and score as many points as possible. And we'll see where we end at the end of the season. So.
Also, I see that you're a Benelux driver with Zandvoort coming up next round. Is that going to be home territory for you?
Yeah, it is. It's an hour drive away from where I live. So, I'm happy. I've been looking forward. I also drive the SRF, so I've been looking forward for 2 or 3 seasons now to drive there. So I'm happy to go there.
We can't wait to see you try and get a good result there. That was Thomas Renders, winner in the Spec 2 class. One last one. Roberts caught up with Rocco Horvath.
Rocco, a very quiet race for you, but 2nd place on the podium. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, pleasantly surprised, I will say. I wasn't expecting that. I qualified 6th, so I thought the guys in front were going to be a little bit quicker. But yeah, ended up finding the pace.
Yeah, and you were very, very quick. If only you were just able to leapfrog into 1st, you probably would have been able to fight with Florence and Gaspers.
Yeah.
How did you shape up? Sorry to cut across, but how did you shape up when it went over from 3 to 2? What did you think?
I don't know. Wasn't really expecting it, to be honest. And early on in the race, I was expecting to pit early just because we were battling so much. I figured we were losing a lot of time to the guys ahead, so I was gonna pit. And then I saw I'm not sure who it was pitted on the 4th or 5th lap or so, And I was just like, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna stay out, and it ended up working out. I'm really bummed that Simon got disconnected though.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate when something like that happens, especially given the fact that he was racing so very well up until that point. Can't fault him on a tee for that. It's to sort of wrap it up in a way. How difficult or not was it to battle the elements while you were also going side by side? Because you definitely were involved in battles, but you're being very sort of elegant with your moves as well, I would have thought. So, take me through that.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of experience already in the Formula V, just doing the official races and stuff, and I have found that the wheel-to-wheel racing loses a lot of time, and so yeah, I try to stay out of it best I can. It can be a little boring, but I like to, I don't know, I want to get to the end. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, overall, really fun race.
And this is the last. Do you have any shout-outs or thanks you want to give?
Just you guys for broadcasting and the Weekend Warrior series. I'm definitely looking forward to doing it again.
Sure thing, Rocco. Pleasure to have you, and congratulations on your P2 in today's race.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And that's going to close us out here at Okayama. So we also want to give some thank yous mostly to our sponsor, Ringfree. It's a unified VoIP for your essential business. Find out more at ringfree.com. Choose connection. Also, a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Rob, Sean, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because next week we'll be at Zandvoort, July 17th at 3:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you want some short track racing, that's coming up soon. The Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series goes to Nashville at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.